Everyone prays for a smooth landing, but what happens when Mother Nature decides to blow some wind your way? Scary, right? In today's video, we present you with some of the most terrifying jet landings ever recorded in airports worldwide. Some of these are so scary you would not believe they happened were they not caught on camera. On January 18, 2018, Bombardier Dash 8 Q400, flying from Bologna to the Dusseldorf airport in western Germany, met an unsatisfying end to its 1 hour, 45-minute trip. The plane was approaching the runway when the unexpected happened. As the airplane embarked on its descent, 70-mile-per-hour winds bombarded the Bombardier carrier. They rocked the plane side to side like a puppet on strings dangling in the air as it looked helplessly at the mercy of the wind. The plane appeared to be at a 45-degree angle as it got closer to the runway, and as it tried to align itself, the worse the situation got. But with years of experience and a pinch of luck, the pilots were soon able to bring it in for safe landing. It is a remarkable testament to true aviation prowess. On another instance at the Dusseldorf airport, January 14, 2016, an Airbus A380 approached the runway coming in for a soft landing, but then this happened. A gust of wind blowing from the right side of the plane jolted the plane sideways 100 feet from the ground, sending the aircraft on a crab-like approach onto the runway. Magnificently, the pilots countered the speed and angles despite being against the wind. Thankfully, the plane landed perfectly on the runway, saving the plane and people on board from a rather disastrous end to their journey. If that wasn't gut-churning enough, this next moment would be sure to send a few shivers down your spine. This passenger plane seemed to have a tough time coming in for a landing. It approached the entry point of the runway, then this happened. While approaching the runway, the aircraft swerved from side to side after being blown so strongly by the winds from the storm named Heward. At one point, the aircraft can be seen flying diagonally to the airstrip. At this point, the pilot's years of experience came into play when they landed the plane after intense swerves to correct the direction. The left wheel touched the tarmac well before the right wheel finally touched the tarmac. Absolutely remarkable. We've seen nail-biting crosswind landings, but what happens during a takeoff? Well, this passenger plane's experience is one sure to send shivers down your spine. During a takeoff attempt at the Dusseldorf airport, this Air Berlin passenger plane had a terrifying moment. It was racing down the runway preparing for liftoff when a strong gust of wind blew against the airplane. This rocked the plane, pushing it in a manner well beyond comfort. Amazingly, moments after the wheels left the tarmac, the airplane rekindled its balance and soared into the sky like nothing happened. I wonder how the passengers felt about the takeoff. More on Dusseldorf bone-chilling crosswinds. Another extreme crosswind landing came into play. This happened when Turkish Airlines' Airbus A330 experienced a hair-raising landing as it approached the runway. Embarking on a descent whilst arriving from Istanbul, the airplane succumbed to a 60-mile-an-hour crosswind. This shoved it into a side bank 200 feet above the tarmac. In an attempt to counter the inadvertent switch in approach, the pilots employed the crab landing method. This brought the plane into an amazing drift landing as the rear wheels drifted onto the tarmac before coming to a stable landing. A true depiction of aviation know-how. On the 28th of April, 2012, another scary crosswind spectacle unfolded for Condor Boeing 757. It was approaching for a landing at the Dusseldorf airport, but there were disastrous weather conditions caused by the storm. This bombarded the Boeing 757 into a 60-degree swerve a few hundred feet above the air. Reports show that the Airbus had previously attempted to land, but was thwarted by the wind, and it went in for round 2. This unfolded. From the approach, the footage shows the Airbus leaning almost towards the direction from which the wind was blowing. The pressure to maintain the flight path went on for nearly 2 minutes before appearing to approach the tarmac nose first. However, with years of training and countless hours of flying, the pilot successfully landed the Airbus on the tarmac, dent-free. a display of the intense skills employed in landing such a massive airplane. As you ponder on that epic save, how about you spare a few seconds and subscribe to the channel? This will help to ensure that you do not miss any updates that we post. Now, let us get back to the video. At the Newquay Cornwall Airport, another sight to see was when the Airbus Beluga transport aircraft carrying complete airliner wings was caught in a hairy 39-knot crosswind. This forced the big aircraft almost sideways to the runway as it approached. The conditions surrounding the airport were adverse, which sent chills to everyone watching the scene unfold. Fortunately, the crew's expert training and cooperation with the pilots enabled the plane to make a perfect landing, and any possible dangers were averted. A big shout out to the pilots for saving such an awkwardly crafted aircraft. On November 6, 2021, an Ethiopian Airlines Airbus A350-900 registered ETAYB experienced a bizarre rough takeoff. It prepared to soar into the sky when strong crosswinds countered the airplane's attempt, blowing it off the center line during takeoff. Watch as the airplane struggles to counter the winds and stay on the path. They say landing during a crosswind is harder than taking off, but in this situation, and the bellowing hues of the strong winds, we'd call that a perfect execution. The general consensus is that performing a crosswind takeoff is better than a crosswind landing. With that said, this Ryanair Boeing 737 MAX 8 Airbus had the landing of a lifetime as it approached John Lennon Airport in Liverpool. As it veered in for a landing, dangerous crosswinds preemptively prompted a go-around for the aircraft. During the second approach, this happened. From the footage, the aircraft is seen taking a rather fast descent onto the runway. Suddenly, a random gust of wind jolted the aircraft as it reached to glaze its wheels onto the runway. Amazingly, after the first failure in landing the aircraft, the pilots soon secured the landing despite a few bumps, bringing everyone safely on the ground. A nice yet windy day at Lisbon International Airport almost turned sour when this Airbus was seen battling to stay in the air and on course for the runway. As it descended for a landing, a mighty gust of wind rattled its entry. This sent it into a leaned angle, dangling a few hundred feet above the runway. Remarkably, as the pilots descended, the winds pushed onto the back of the plane, rattling it even more. This led the pilots to abandon the landing expedition and come in for another landing attempt. The conditions, as seen in the video, indicate that the weather was stormy, and the landing would prove hazardous to the passengers, the crew on the airplane, and the plane itself. But with the pilots' quick thinking and the existence of second chances, the danger was averted. Remarkable save, really. They say that the first rule in aviation is to fly the aircraft. Whether routine or emergency, the priority should always be to remain in control of the aircraft. But these pilots have not just shown that they have displayed their unique skills and dedication to their services. As they continue to display their skills behind the dials, we continue to bring you more of their epic moments in aviation history.